Yeah. Um, yes, thanks, Janine. So the reminder is that we are all being recorded, so that this can be heard by other people who can't make tonight. And just a really warm welcome to this first learning forum for EMISA for the year. Here comes Michael. So Margaret, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today, and thank you for making time to share some of your wisdom and experience with us. I'm just going to introduce you a little bit, even though we haven't had a chance to discuss an introduction. Uh,
Okay.
no, we've met over a space of years, and it was really lovely to reconnect with Margaret last year when I had a call with her, just to check in around what is she doing with MBSR and mindfulness and the kind of the eco awareness. And I was really struck by the depth and the passion with which she is meeting this really important field. So Margaret's been teaching MBSR through the Center for Mindfulness. She's certified through the Center of Mindfulness at UMass. She also was a senior MBSR teacher trainer. So she's been involved in teacher training for a very long time, I think more than 20 years, Margaret. And so what alongside all of her professional training, this new work has been emerging, and it feels like really important work because her teaching is really expanding the frame of mindfulness beyond the MBSR curriculum and into really exploring our relationship with the living world from what I'm understanding, which for me feels really important in this time. It's a time where there's all kinds of complexities and global concerns about, the climate. And so as MBSR teachers or MBI teachers, as many of us are in this group, it kind of brings about some really important reflection about how do we bring this in? How do we kind of serve these bigger questions? And so, Margaret, we're really grateful you're here. We really look forward to learning from you today. And if it's okay with you, I'll just hand the Zoom stick to you.
Thank you so much, Linda, for that kind introduction. I'm gonna carve 5 years off of she's been involved with teacher training, so about 15 years, just for accuracy's sake. And thank you so much, Linda and Janine and Lynn, for arranging for this time together around a topic I do feel really passionate about, and that it's an important matter for our time. So I'm delighted that all of you have shown up to consider this for yourselves. I would love for this to be an interactive session. I've planned that, and I hope you all are up for that. You're mindfulness professionals in probably many different ways, and so I hope that feels familiar to you. And yeah, let's learn together. So we've got just under 90 minutes, and here we are gathered on Zoom. Janine and I were talking about this earlier, just like the habit patterns already around, like maybe something like must keep my face in a square and my body still, and kind of like how inhumane is that? So, what I want to do is just encourage you to stand up, move around, take a posture that it really supports your listening and engaging, and don't worry too much about how you're appearing on the in the Zoom rectangle. Just give yourself as much freedom as you like, and we can work with that. Few of you are off camera. That's absolutely fine, although we'd love to have you visible to us as we're here together on camera. And so if that's possible, you could make that adjustment. I'd love to just hear one little bit from each of you who are here. And what I'll do is I'll just send you a little invitation. Something will pop up on your screen that says, I'm asking you to unmute. And tell us your name and where you are right now. Just where you are. And that'll certainly have a name, but maybe there's also something for you about the land, the place, and a little something, because there's a lot of us already, which is great, but maybe one sentence about that. So I can start us off. I'll just give a little example. I'm Margaret. I'm in Concord, New Hampshire, and I am delighted by blinding sun on snow right now, right out my window. So let's have a little go around here, shall we?
Hi, I'm Janine, and I now live in a place no longer called East London, but Kugompo. And so it's just been renamed this week, and it comes from the name of a local rock called Cove Rock, and the sound of the waves against the rock go gompo gompo, and so that's where the name comes from.
Lovely. They're just sending little messages one by one to you folks.
Hi, my name is Melika Lachman. I am external to the MISA community for now. I actually heard about MISA this year through a research topic, and I'm from Pietermaritzburg, South Africa. It's in a province called KwaZulu-Natal. It's very lush with nature, fauna and flora. Coastal regions, it's close to coastal regions. So there's a lot of conservation and initiatives that are happening around mindfulness at the moment, but so much more that can be done, especially for the animals. There's a lot of communities as well. With South Africa being.
Malika, that's like, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and we'll just try and keep it a little tight so for time that everybody can come in, and thank you for all of that. Yeah.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name's Rebecca, and I'm living in Cape Town. And right now, I'm at the foot of the back of Table Mountain. So that's very present in our view as we come in and out of the house. And I can hear the Cape robin and the bird song, the evening bird song in my garden. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Linda and I am living in Cape Town and currently I'm really being soothed by a view of the ocean and the sound of the waves and the sound of my dog snoring.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm also based in Cape Town. I'm currently looking at Table Mountain in front of me and Lion's Head to the right of me. And it is a tempestuous view of clouds and wind, and it's so beautiful. It's every day that I look out my window, it's something different and a really beautiful energy that emits off the mountain. And I feel very blessed to have it a stone's throw away from me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Annette, and I am in Bloemfontein, and the Free State is experiencing a terrible heat wave at the moment, so we're suffering a bit. And but we've had good rain, and we just hope that for more rain. At the moment, I'm hoping for a little bit of a breeze to cool off. Yes, and that's me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janet. I live in Stellenbosch and looking out over an unusually overcast Stellenbosch tonight, which is quite nice for a change. It's been boiling hot. Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, Andreas, I'm not hearing you. So that's not working quite yet. I wonder if you could just try working with your microphone under that little audio control, and we'll move on to the next person, and I'll come back to you.
I think you indicated me, Margaret.
That's right.
Okay, I'm yet another Cape Townian enjoying, excuse me, the summer, but concerned about soaring temperatures and what the future holds for us. At night, I like looking at the stars, but of course, in the city, that's becoming an increasing problem with light pollution. But I do see the sky above us as much a part of the natural world as the ground beneath our feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Michael here, Cape Town as well. A little bit out of town in the Western Seaboard in an area called Bloberg. And I must say I'm a little bit obsessed with the ocean. And it does all sorts of wonders for me. I have been swimming daily now, consecutively for 764 days. I haven't missed an ocean swim. And so it's become my daily healing, my daily joy. It's a part of my daily life. So love the ocean.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Am I unmuted?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Margaret, for being here for us this evening. It's such a lovely opportunity. And firstly, I'd just like to apologize if I do strange things with technology. I usually work on my laptop, and for some reason, the screen has just decided to not function. So I'm on my mobile phone, and I don't usually use Zoom on my mobile phone at all. So I'm not very familiar with it, but I'll do my best in the course of this evening. I am just feeling so relieved today to be home. It's been a very full and challenging few days, and I've loved hearing everybody sharing about your where you are and what you're looking at and what you enjoy in nature. I'm very blessed to be sitting looking out at my garden, which is a symphony of greens and trees and the grey clouds behind. It's just beautiful. And I guess what's drawn me to be here this evening is that being on the mountain, being in nature, I feel is such a powerful healer in itself. And combining that with mindfulness, I feel is such a strong resource. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that this evening. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. I'll do you a favor and mute you. And who's next? So Annette, I wonder if you'd like to come in. Okay. And let's try Andreas again.
Is it working?
Oh, yes.
Oh, great. I live in Royals, and I had to close the doors today for baboons visiting. So that's quite a wild area. It's got a policy of rewilding vegetation and whatnot, and we have baboons passing through regularly, and tortoises, what have one.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And Despy, let's see if you can come in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, a little muffled, but go ahead. Yeah, please.
Oh, can you hear me now? Better?
A little better. Thank you.
I think there's something going on. Let me just disconnect from the headphones. Hi, I'm currently on a farm in KwaZulu-Natal in Zululand. and I'm listening to a song of, a symphony of frogs and sitting under the stars. So this is where I'm at right now. Thank you.
Lovely. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just check back once more with Annette. Annette, would you like to unmute and say a hello?
I think I did. I did previously. I'm probably out of turn,
Oh,
but I'm
yes,
in the.
that's right. You did. You did. I'm so sorry. Right. Thank you for that. You did. I'm just scanning around the Zoom screen and forgetting what's happened just a couple of minutes ago. Thank you for that. And we've got a new person joining, and welcome. And we'll continue on here. And just to take in for a moment what we've heard. Water, earth, wind, sun, emotions, delight and concern, in reference to institutions and desires and possibilities. Beautiful. So here we are with our human hearts and following some little invitation to talk about earth and awareness and mindfulness and what these things have to do with the state of the world right now. Yeah, that's what we're here for. So thank you and welcome. Welcome to those of you who are just joining. Lovely to have you here. And we've named ourselves, most of us, not everybody, but we've named ourselves and placed ourselves on this earth and said a little bit about the more than human kin who are our relatives. Yeah. Trees, birds, gorillas, water, ocean, the liveliness of that. So let's welcome all of that. Can you take that wonderful skill of mindful awareness that you have and some instruction that you must have received at least once that it's all included? It's all included. Let your eyes take in whatever we can take in right now, even if it's about sort of using your awareness superpower to see through the solid wall that's in front of you. You know what's just past that wall. You know about the life that's inside your space. You might have plants, you might have pets. You certainly have other creatures. I do. My friends, the spiders, and the what we call slow bugs in winter here in New Hampshire that crawl in through the little windows cracks and just go so slow along the windowsill. My companions, your companions, all that's here. And then who is not here? So could we just let ourselves wonder? Wonder about that. I mean, one thing I know for myself is in the city of Concord, which is the state capital of the state of New Hampshire, the city of Concord where I live, we have quite an immigrant population. And you know, there's a lot going on in the US about every one of us is an immigrant by ancestry, except for those who are long-term native caretakers of this particular patch of land named North America, but sometimes referred to as Turtle Island now. Yeah. And for you all who lives in your places, and maybe we don't see them represented on this screen, and let's remember and include our awareness that they're humans with different histories, effects on families, recent and over decades and centuries. And that there's something about just asking ourselves who is not here, and we can kind of open ourselves to histories and ancestries and everything that deserves our love and care and even our action as mindfulness professionals. So, Linda, you said something about I spoke with passion, and I have taken that up. I'm not hiding that. Maybe have in the past, but now's not the time. And I want to say that to you because I heard some passion. Melika, I'm sorry, I had to kind of curtail that passion, and I love it. And what I love in just speaking about one thing in the place that you are living and where you're in reciprocal relationship with, where your food maybe gets grown. I hope some of it gets grown close by. That we have passion for this world. This is not at all a surprise for me. So I just want to say a bit in context for why we come together like this. I think of mindfulness professionals as having a superpower. And Ajahn Sucitto is a teacher I've spent quite a bit of time with in the Thai forest tradition. And he said once during a retreat, I'll never forget it, he said, those with the greatest awareness are the most powerful people in the room. Okay. Now, there's different forms of awareness. We know that. And we know about the power in the room, the power in the globe right now, and how technology gives us a kind of, doorway into a type of awareness, very manipulative, right? Very sort of wielding, forcing. And what's new about that? I mean, that's been going around in the human space for decades and millennia. People being, picked up and forced to do, to move, land stolen. And then there's also that quality of awareness and attention that has an ethos underneath it. And I'm presuming that's all of us. And I hope that's true. It's all of us. So the reason I mention this superpower is because, in my small way, it's kind of what gave me an entry point into the work that I'm doing now. So I started teaching mindfulness in 2000, teaching MBSR in 2009. I had a Dharma invitation to teach prior to that. And then I really did work hard to get a teaching going here in my state. And stayed in touch with UMass Center for Mindfulness, and so was invited to teach there, a 90-minute drive one way. But I felt like this is just something that feels so strong in me. The first thing I did was I sold my old car and I bought a hybrid. It's the best thing I could do in the moment of thinking, I'm going to be burning all this gas to be driving up and down to teach and to learn how to train teachers. And I made deals with UMass Center for Mindfulness to stay over one night and to work from home one night so that I could, drive as little as possible. And it was still way too much. Oh my goodness. And all that time, I'm thinking to myself, I need to do better by the earth. She is calling me. She's calling all of us. We are in crisis, emergency. Those words really weren't being used back then, but they are now. And polycrisis, meaning if I just started off thinking, well, it's a climate crisis, it's a fuel situation, it's an overconsumption situation. No, it's a lot of things. It's democracy, it's autocracy, it's capitalism, it's consumerism, it's extractionism, it's colonialism. It's like I've made a real big study of the causes and conditions of what has led us to be here and what I feel like it's important that I do about it. And so I had to ask myself, what can I do? And I thought about doing a lot of different things that were outside this profession. And then I said, I'm too old to learn something new. I've got to make good on what I have. And I'm inviting all of you to think about this. And I know that you're doing it in all kinds of ways. I know this because I've had we've had 43 people come through a 6-week workshop that we've designed to help MBI teachers consider, like where am I in my relationship with what's going on this planet? And what do I want to do about it? 6-week exploration around that. And what I know is that teachers are coming, and there are folks who are just starting to be curious about it. And is starting to come into their teaching because of that. And people who have spent way more time than I have on this. And still they're wondering, how can this be expressed in teaching? The superpower is the people who you're interacting with, your own awareness and the people you are in service to, your students, your participants, folks in business, folks in Dharma centers, folks in hospitals. And that you too can do what I recognize. It's like there's an amplifying quality with mindfulness teachers. In other words, you touch many lives. And my sense was, I work with teachers. I know how to do that to the degree that I do. And if I start talking to other teachers about it, this is going to have an amplifying effect. And so here I am. What I know is that there's desire and there's hesitation for good reason. And so I want to speak a little bit about that. We'll talk about it together really later, but some like inner sense of, do I have permission to talk about the poly crisis in my MBSR orientation? Maybe it's not a really big theme, but I do. I mention it because it's real for all human beings right now. And if it's real, it's like it's all included, it belongs. And because I know it's harder sometimes for people to bring it up because it's so everywhere and nowhere, like stressors can be that way. But I just had an orientation on Saturday morning, and when I said, and I know it's really hard in this world right now, and there's a lot that's causing us stress, political stress, climate stress. I just set a little list, and I watched the heads do this on the Zoom screen. Oh, she's going to let us actually engage around that during this MBSR course. Heads nodding. So that's where I get the permission from. It's like, yeah, I'm going through this. Thank you for mentioning it. Thank you for naming that for us. And I started by saying I'm passionate about this. And I get into a little trouble sometimes around this, and there's pushback, and not too much though, but one question that one of my Dharma mentors in the eco-awareness space asked me to consider, how will I spend my privilege while I'm on this earth in the situation that it's in right now? That hit me right in the center of my ethical gut. And so I just give that question to you. Here's a little reflection, and then I'd love to ask you to chat a bit to me about it. Early on, as I started to step into this work, I had this picture in my mind. It just came to me. So I have to describe to you this little stuffed ball that I have. I've had it since my kids were little. It's a globe. It's this blue globe. My kids called it Globy. And it's very squishable and huggable. And we just always would love on Globy. Globy's now in Los Angeles with my grandchildren because they kind of loved it up enough that they had to take it with them. And I'm delighted about that. But in the time that I want to describe to you, I was asking myself, like, how do I do this? How do I bring earth to life in my classroom? And I suddenly just pictured is the circle at the Center for Mindfulness at UMass Medical School, and there are chairs and people in it. And here's a chair, And Globy was sitting on one of the chairs, and that just like that silly, sweet little image came to me. So I want to ask you to picture your classrooms. Right now, you can close your eyes if that's helpful. Who's there? Maybe it's a Zoom screen. For many of us, it's likely, but who are they? Where do they come from? What is their place? And in a way that makes sense to you, could you add a chair or a Zoom square? And maybe it's a whole deal globe there, but maybe it's the gorillas and the mountain table. Somehow to invite beyond the human built environment, to invite in a square that says, you're part of this, you earth. And hang with that for a bit. And then when you're ready, find your way over to chat. Let's make sure that everybody can chat everybody right now. Yes, they can. And just anything that arose for you, anything at all. Could be, couldn't do it, too hard. It could be, so maybe something that showed up in that square or chair. Could be an emotion. So let's just do a little gathering here by chat. Are you chatting to everyone? So you'll do some typing and then I'll do some reading. How about lighting a candle each week for the earth, for anywhere where candle lighting is part of the culture? A classroom of the most brave and advocating humanitarians from different disciplines and walks of life. I saw a squirrel on a fence post earlier when I brought out my compost, and that squirrel came to mind. Deep sadness and deep sense of hope. I'm taking my students outside into a forest next week, and I'm so excited. Yes, yes. Taking MBA students into a park to walk slowly, and they struggled with it. Yeah. But Globey's on the chair and I can do more. That's so sweet. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, if there's more to come, please, please, and that's great. I'll continue on here. So it's clear to me that with just a little bit of like reflection and imagination, things can spark open. And that's of anything that I could say to you today, this is the thing I want to say the loudest is please keep that reflection open. So earth awareness, it's even hard to kind of reference what we're talking about here. Linda, you're like, right? Earth awareness, is that what we say? Sometimes you'll see eco-dharma, eco-awareness, earth awareness. And of anything that we could be aware of, I can say, I feel very certainly that this is the first contemplative object for human beings. And you think about it, and there's a word, animism, right? Maybe we don't love isms so much, but animism, a term that refers to most of human history where people viewed the world as alive and filled with life force of many kinds, and a perspective that, an embeddedness in nature rather than a separateness, or even maybe worse, a better than-ness. And there's a teacher named Joshua Michael Schrei, and he talks about animism as normative consciousness. And when I think about some of the stories that I've heard Dharma teachers speak out to me in their early training, when they were in, cultures where there's a long lineage, millennia of contemplative practice, that it's often described as happening like in solitude in nature. Is this familiar? Have you heard Dharma teachers, mindfulness teachers talk about that? In your kuti, in the forest, and there, it's like it's your space to keep the rain off the top of your head, and dry enough, and and just warm enough, but also it's like not really so protected from the forces of air and earth and weather. These are your companions. Yes, the next monk that's a few feet, or a few hundred feet in the next kuti, but much more so is the sounds of the birds and insects, and the felt sense of bare feet on dirt, and the air moving through. So it's like the oldest contemplative practice. And my own training did not include much around this. I wonder if for any of you, you feel like, no, I got a really solid grounding in something that would feel that the interbeingness of that. So for myself, my Dharma teaching, or, my Dharma instruction, and then instruction in MBSR, and then my training as an MBSR teacher, and then my training as an MBSR teacher training. What I can say is we went outside and we walked. And that was nourishing and lovely. But in terms of the natural world having its place within the context of how do I teach others, really hasn't been there. And I understand why. I really do. I understand the movement of Dharma to the West, which is where I live and where I learned. And that we're like so strong of mind that it was like the mind that needed to be the doorway into understanding Dharma. And so human thought, human emotion, and just trying to get untangled enough to even be able to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Like it seems like that's how it came over to us. And I appreciate that. And also at this point, it's like John Kabat-Zinn has said, and maybe you've heard him, but that feels like just an easy endorsement to reference to say, hey, we have permission. He said, we're in a world now, we're in a climate crisis. It's all hands on deck. Yeah, it's all hands on deck. So that's why it felt important to me to just get started on something and to find colleagues, right? So as I start talking about this, me with, I'm going to say, 4 years of depth of practice and interest and reflection and contemplation, but still, it's only 4 years. Some of you on this call maybe want to tell me about yourself and say, this is me, and tell me about the years and years and what it's meant in your teaching. I want to know you. This is part of my mission, is to find you and, like lift folks like this up. So one way that that's happening is we're having a speaker series through the project that I'm running to bring people forward who can speak to this and inspire and engage around and get us more and more like all hands on deck. Okay? So we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But you'll have my email address, and I really want to hear from any and all of you about where you're at with anything that I'm speaking about. So let's have I've been sitting for a while. You've been sitting? Have you been good to this human body? Maybe it's time to have a stand up and a stretch and I'm going to grab my water bottle because we mammals need our water. We'll just take a minute here. And then I'm going to guide a practice. So a minute for you of standing could be 10 minutes because I'm going to guide about a 10-minute practice, and maybe you'd like to do it standing or even slow walking. Maybe you want to position yourself so that you can see out a window, just to give yourself that visual aid of here in a great interconnected web of life. Okay. Little wiggle, little stretch. That could be enough. So let's have an awareness of breathing practice. And you can situate yourself wherever relative to camera, relative to gravity on Earth and the needs of this human body that you have. Situate yourself however you wish. And once you've found yourself situated, just noticing that the great Earth is your companion, the force of gravity is here to hold you gently. And touching in on that, the force of gravity on this collection of muscles, bones, skin, and the will and the intelligence and the awareness to position your body so that you can be still and notice all the capabilities of this human body that has come from the earth, was born of the earth elements, and just the kind of burgeoning will of life to have one more human being be awake and in connection here on this planet. That's you. So muscles, bones, and intention, human intention and attention, just now all situated and balanced on this particular place on the earth. Which your eyes can help you cue into, and your ability to know sensation in your body can help you cue into. and that there's breath moving. It's part of the life force. Breath arriving, being received, absorbed, and then the leftovers of breath receding and moving back out into the earth atmosphere. So there's a continuous gifting of oxygen in and other elements not needed, but needed by some other creature. Those being given out. Sensing into that process with some awareness of this human body here, both recipient and giver. And for me, I have a spider plant in my environment. I have a maple tree just outside. These are my giving and receiving companions close by. And this human awareness that we know can infuse and occupy a whole human body to certain degrees. Fullness of awareness and even the effect of breath on body circulation, wakeful kind of alertness. And then also, because this is a practice group, the open awareness that expands so far beyond the container of the skin. Breath as inclusive and interchanging with so many other beings and life itself. And you might consider a kind of tethering attention in the sensations of the breath flowing, rising, and receding. And also tethered like a kite so that the openness is also available and that openness can expand beyond the boundaries of the building you're in. Flow to the place, the land. And the same kind of goodwill and wisdom and curiosity and non-judgment and caring can infuse that open awareness, now inclusive of your human kin and all your more than human relatives. And that you yourself are the local holding with care and compassion, right along with the expansive, interrelated expression of life all around you, so that the boundary really is important and also porous. So let's find a way, each of us, to bring this practice to a close. And a breath together. And if your eyes have been closed, you might want to open them now. And I'd love to invite the group to just hop into a few little breakout rooms, 3 or 4 people, and just share together maybe something that's touched you from that practice or something from the hour or so that we've spent together already. Yeah, but something that's touched you, if there is anything. And we'll keep this brief, so 5 minutes, okay? And I'll send a note out that there's a minute remaining so that you can wrap things up, okay? So, and if you don't care to join a breakout, it's okay. So I'll open the rooms and then see what happens, and maybe need to reorganize people just a bit so you got somebody to talk to. You can always come back into the main room if need be. So let's try this out. Here we go. while we're waiting for this last minute for folks to join. Hello, Mind Health A56, and glad to have you here. I didn't get to learn your name, but thank you for being here. Welcome back, everybody. And I was just catching myself up with some of the chats that I hadn't seen yet, and the important work and the touching connections that folks are making, those of you here on the call. So I wonder from, and maybe we could all mute at this point. Yeah, when you come back, it's like, oh, I was just talking to somebody. Oh, hope that was a delight. So it's really important to make the connection from mindfulness, personal practice, to well-being, right? Health, well-being, to something we might call a regenerative relationship with the earth. So you've just had a little bit of personal practice and you've spoken together with someone about it. And I just wonder if for you, having heard some things that I've said already, and of course, bringing your own intelligence and wondering to this session, but if you're seeing anything, so this is a new prompt from what you had when you went into the breakout rooms. If you're touching into anything that speaks to the connection between mindfulness and well-being, and let's say planetary well-being or a regenerative reciprocal relationship with this planet. So that's a big question. And maybe just starting speaking from your direct experience. So I'll just anyone come on in. Let's just raise a human hand and let's talk together. Malika.
Hi.
Melika, yeah.
Melika, that's fine. That's perfect. Thank you. So I've been working in corporate for a while. My first time in corporate, it's been 3 years actually. And with regards to mindfulness and well-being and how it links to rejuvenating the relationship with the earth and bringing it back to your 9 to 5 work setting, that's been a huge topic for me, and I've been trying to live it out. Mindfulness, I think it has to do a lot with my upbringing, my spirituality, as we just spoke in the previous class. And then well-being is something that I had to learn for myself. It was very personal to me. I knew what well-being meant for me. And then I realized that other people have a very different version of what is well-being for them. And then when it came to rejuvenating the relationship with the earth, I was in HR, so human resource management for a long time, and the triple bottom line, pushing people, planet, and profit. So those three circles that you just mentioned with mindfulness, well-being, and rejuvenating relationship with the earth, very closely linked to what human resource management does and industrial organizational psychology brings into the workspace. So yeah, that's what it means to me.
There's so much there, Malika. Yeah. And not such an easy territory in the space of like a profit-driven human resources function.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate your naming that it's important for you. And that is, of course, where we always need to start, is to have some sort of embodied, authentic, integrated sense before it's like going to make any sense to start talking about it with anybody else. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a little section here, and I'm not feeling like we're necessarily quite ready to talk about it, but maybe we are. I don't know. It's just considerations in professional, teaching and professional offerings, considerations around all that we're exploring together a little bit today. But I wonder if we could just keep it to maybe one or two more shares around like what I'm aware of, practicing awareness of breath and holding a space open for the wide world of life. Does mindfulness to well-being, to planetary well-being, is there a connection for you? Michael, and then Sarah.
Yeah, I'm not even quite sure how I'm going to phrase this, but I think it feels to me what sits right at the heart of our practice is this, and even this word I struggle with a little bit, but non-dualism, the sense that we are all part of one whole, moving and integrated together. And the practice of mindfulness, certainly for me, and where it's the sort of movement within it, is towards deepening and deepening that sense of oneness with all that exists, and that it's impossible to separate ourselves from the environment and from the cosmos when we really practice very deeply.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm going to ask you to hold right there, Sarah, because I want that statement to land with me.
Mm.
Huh?
Mm.
Just as a human being, I want that
Yeah.
statement to really land with me. And then of course there's so much more that could come just past that. But I'm going to ask you to hold there. And Michael, come in.
So I do a more or less quarterly silent walking meditation on the beach, and it's grown quite significantly. This last time I had about 250 people walking on the beach with me. But the thing that I was fascinated with was I invited people to remove their shoes if they felt that that was okay for them to do. And I just observed that it took a moment just to observe the response to that invitation. And, and there was no judgment, but it was just a fascinating moment there where people were sitting with that and trying to decide whether they were going to take their shoes off and walk on barefoot on the sand or not. It was intriguing for me because in my mind, I would have thought that, 90% of them would have done it automatically, but it wasn't so. And anyway, and then the feedback afterwards, it was almost like it was the first time they'd ever paid attention to walking and feeling the sand under their feet and in between their toes. It was the most amazing feedback where because we walked very deliberately and slowly and with the focus at the feet. Yeah, I was just blown away by the comments I received that it was an amazing experience that they had, the contact of the feet, and sometimes it wasn't just sand, there was a pebble or a shell or and some of them were a little bit in the water and some were not. It was so it was fascinating.
Yeah, Michael, thank you. And let's just tie Sarah's reflection and Michael's reflection together here, right? Because on the one hand, like non-dual, fully inclusive, interbeing awareness. And then here's some participants, some students, some people who have some interest in mindfulness, and just to take the shoes off, to register sand under feet it's like a challenge. I'm gonna try that. I'm going to try that on. So I think there's so many considerations around this. We will never cover all of them in this session, and we'll never cover all of them in a 6-week workshop. But there's something really important about translation into a real world application and context and minds and hearts, real world folks. And so I can just imagine, like what's at play for you, Sarah, and for you, Michael, is like you said, it's like it's interesting, it's fascinating, and also there's so much that it's like there's so much territory, there's so much progress we need to make as a species to kind of get what's really going on around here. And so as teachers, it's just to me there's an ethos part, and there's an old school term for this, skillful means, right? So there's a way to be skillful about who's here with me and how can I invite them into a little bit more and a little bit more sensitivity to this earth. What's going on for species? What's going on because of our human activity? What's going on because of our, uh, Northern Hemisphere white capitalist, extractionist, colonialist history activity? Just to say it real fast and dirty, what's happening here? And there's just like, we always say in mindfulness teaching, ethos, context, trauma informed, and that these all play a part in how we want to invite people in. And then there's like the beauty and the strength of this. It's everything. I can't even find a word for this planet, this world, Earth. It's resource, it's source, it's home, it's how we can travel, how we can birth our families. It's our place, it's our food, it's our shelter. It's also very violent, and weather will get you if you're not wisdom. Like we're not trying to build a big romantic picture of Earth either. It's 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 dangerously cold. There are toxins and dangerous creatures and dangerous forces. And Mother Earth is sort of vastly benevolent and also equanimous about what we put ourselves into and what we take. And she's just gonna like deal with how we treat her, whether it's highly abusively or otherwise. I'll tell you one thing from a retreat that I went on. I was getting some really gorgeous guidance for reflecting and listening and dialoguing, not in English, but dialoguing with forces in the earth. And I laid myself down and I stayed. I really hung out for a while, and this kind of knowing came up in me. It was like the earth was saying two things to me. If you continue on this path, I will help you ruin the things you're ruining. And if you continue on a different path, I will help you save the things you're trying to save. Do you know, like if I keep burning things and placing all of my consumption, especially on the Southern Hemisphere and like peoples and villages that don't consume nearly what I consume, but are bearing the brunt of it. If I keep doing that, then the earth is like amplifying the effects of that now. We know that. And if I can dial back and if I can encourage others to bring awareness and heart, and that we can turn more towards the new way, transformation, the earth is going to help us, turn that ship. It's like basically she was saying to me, which one do you want? So Michael and Sarah, thank you. And I've taken up some time here, and I want to make sure there's time for other voices to come in. So I have a long list of considerations here, things like how do you embody, how do you train, what's really authentic in earth awareness, cultural appreciation versus cultural appropriation, permission to include, how do I gain that? There's just lots we could talk about, but what are your comments or questions? Janine.
I mean, it's more comment. So I work in a community that's extremely poor. It's a very poor city that I live in, and when I work with folks who culturally would have come from an understanding of relationality, but actually because they're so poor, the aspiration is consumptionism. You know, it's like it's better to even have something silly. I mean, just as a silly example, it's better to have some green food coloring and lots of sugar in your water than just to drink water. Because that's kind of aspirational. And so it's kind of this thing that almost that I'm wealthy enough to consider the earth.
Yes.
And so like how do we translate that into, you know, poor communities who actually just want what I've already got?
Yeah, context is all. And creativity in teaching, and especially listening in for what does lift a spirit, right? So that this is not the, for instance, this is not the context for, it doesn't sound to me like it's the context for talking about, you know, dial back your consumption. It's like that's not their job. That is not their job. That is my job. But there may be a connection with a particular tree that's there, and a love for that, or a park, or a, you know, it's like, so you're listening in for how can I encourage connection to this essential, important, like we wouldn't be anywhere without it, planet. And that's maybe the doorway for that. And the listening, and even the willingness to be like, you tell me, teach me. And of course, you're running something, so you've said I'm the facilitator, and people are happy to have that happen, but also teach me how you know that the earth is alive around you. And even that's not quite the question, but you know what the question is with those people, because you know their language and the way they refer to their place. And you know, I'll say this, my family, there's hunting in my family in northern New England. Our protein, our naturally occurring protein is deer and turkey. And my brothers and my father, they hunt. They have hunting guns in their household. I don't have a gun in my household. I never would. But they do for the reason of feeding the family and out in nature. And so when I have a student talk about, like, when have you ever connected with yourself? And, you know, somebody will say, I go out in nature, I'm a hunter. It's quiet. I feel like I'm attuned to what's moving out here. That's contemplative practice. I don't let my own yikes guns get in the way of the idea of people being able to gain the naturally occurring protein rather than ship it across the country or the world. So I got to get out of my own way around some ways that people are naming it for themselves and making that connection. So that's sort of a non-answer answer, Janine. I hope, does that help? or at least speak a little bit to what you're asking about. Yeah, thank you. Sarah.
Thank you, Margaret. I know I've already had a bit of airspace, so I'll try to keep it brief. But there's a wonderful initiative here in Cape Town with children from poorer communities. It's run by the Mountain Club of South Africa to take them onto Table Mountain. So they're fetched and groups are arranged, and they come and have a lovely morning or a day on the mountain. And there's children from sort of beginning school age, 6, 7 years, right up till when they finish school, when they're sort of 18 years old. And the sort of gist of it is to how does this feel? How does it feel to be on the mountain, to be in this open space, to have this experience of breathing this fresh air and feeling your body move? So they're very well run to really go at the pace of the children, so they have a fantastic time, so that they really feel that sense of being sustained by being out on the earth, touching the earth, feeling the earth, breathing the fresh air. Feeling the wind and the sun on their skins. And then at the same time, they're very carefully guided about if you have any bottles of cool drink or sweet papers or wrappers with you. It's very important that you don't leave them on the mountain. And if you see anybody else has dropped litter, and we have little competitions who can gather the most litter while we're on the mountain, because we're looking after the mountain, because she looks after us by providing us with all these amazing experiences to give us a sense of well-being, and we in turn need to look after her. So this is a really beautiful initiative that I just wanted to draw your attention to, because I think that sort of speaks a little bit to what I was talking about earlier, the sense of deep interconnection and this movement through self and the earth and the connected whole.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It's reminding me to say that one of the things that these mentors, I've been with a group of Dharma teachers from all over North America. I'm going to say I stumbled into their presence and got really lucky and got included, because there wasn't somebody from the MBI traditions, and there was a foundation that was gathering Dharma teachers to start to talk together about the difficulty in bringing these issues into Dharma centers and asking Dharma center leadership to pay attention to earth and climate and polycrisis and to incorporate it into their teaching. And that's hard for Dharma teachers in North America. And it's coming along now more so than 4 years ago when I started. But one of the instructions I was given was, you walk your land. You walk your land. So I'm walking my neighborhood. I'm walking the territory, the terrain of my city. I'm walking. I'm learning it. I'm learning to read it. And it's changing me to do that. And it's changing the way I can, maybe respond to the kind of issue like Janine that you're speaking about. I'm changing. That feels like an embodiment practice, an embodiment assignment from my mentors. And another one is like learning about the traditional caretakers of this place and what happened to them. So one of the things that I did before I got in this call was I just went and I reminded myself what the map looked like of the transfer of human black-skinned human bodies from Africa to North America. And I looked at those pathways and I just thought about your land and my land and things that have happened. And participants whose faces might tell me a little bit, or their names, or I can't even guess at because I don't know what's in everyone's ancestry, but like participants who might come in knowing something or a lot about the harming that was caused. And that I want to have that in my awareness and to be able to work with it as skillfully as I can, including to say, I'm not really that skillful about it yet, but I'm working on it. So we have 3 minutes left. This is, as I kind of imagined, the time has gone really fast. I want to leave you all with some resources. for continuing to consider and explore and practice, embody, and like start to let it bleed into your teaching. That's really important, is that as you're changing, it just changes your teaching, and that amplifying effect comes through your embodiment, most importantly. So I'm going to chat a whole bunch of stuff at you all at once. It's like a really big, long list of things. But first is to tell you about the Mindfulness World community, and Janine can tell you more about that too. But there's joining that community, there are threads of interest groups. It's for mindfulness professionals. Maybe you're already a member, but there's a thread called sustainability. And we can share resources and ask each other questions. We haven't gotten great at that part, but I am so interested in trying to get a live conversation going all around the globe. And this is the place where it can happen. So if you join Mindfulness World Community, you can introduce yourself. And I've committed in the next couple of months to putting out a free event for people who care about this topic in their professional work to come together, and let's just start supporting each other. So that's one place. There's a paper that's been written that I think is a really important read, and the title of it is Mindfulness and Sustainability at the Crossroads Toward Mindfulness Curricula for Human and Planetary Well-Being and Transformation. And it covers in a really beautiful way many of the things that I've spoken of and way more than that. Christine Wamsler is the lead author. I helped her a little bit. I'm one of the not lead authors on this paper, but Christine and Jamie Bristow's work has been tremendous. And so I really want to encourage you, if you're interested to learn more, to read that paper. So I've given you the link to that. My project is called the MBSR and Eco-Awareness Project. And we have a monthly speaker coming each month this year. And so I've given you a link. You can start to see we're just still building our speakers, but we've got someone talking about trauma sensitivity and eco-awareness in February. And I've got a dear friend and colleague who is a Native American tribal healer and insight meditation teacher, that intersection. And she's going to come and talk to us about the essential practice of mindfulness as ethics, earth awareness as ethics. I mean, come to that talk. She's everything. So I really encourage you to look at that speaker series and keep your eye out for. And you can sign up with us if you want to learn about the speakers coming up. You can sign up with us on the website where I'm pointing you. And there's the 6-week workshop that we run for teachers. You can find out about that under workshop, and so that's there. John Kabat-Zinn led a beautiful series recently called Gala, Global Awareness, Local Action. You have a link for that. And finally, I talked to you about Joshua Michael Schrei and animism as normative consciousness. So if you really want your mind blown, go listen to that podcast, okay? So I am going to save the chat. And the last thing I'll do is I'll put my email on here. So that if you didn't get a chance to save the chat, you could email me. Email me and tell me about your work. Email me and ask for the list of links. Email for me for any reason. And I so appreciate your attention and your interest. And to Janine and Lynn and Linda, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate your time and kind of your inspiration that you sprinkled into this room and the level of connection that you've created. Thank you.
Okay, take care, everybody. Thanks so much for being here, spending this time.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Be in touch.
Thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank you very much, Margaret.
Thank you.